You're seeing more and more stories about the impacts of AI. There's layoffs, deepfakes, cyberattacks. With dozens of risks like this, which ones actually matter the most? That's the question we tried to answer. To help prioritize, we asked a large group of AI experts. We brought together over 200 experts in different AI risks from 37 different countries. Experts came from academia, from industry, from government and civil society. To pull all their different opinions together, we used a method that's called a Delphi Study. Normally, when you get 200 experts in a room to talk about AI, you end up with 300 different opinions. Instead, with a Delphi Study, you structure the questions so you can find where the experts actually agree and disagree. We anonymize everybody, so they have to show off their good arguments rather than just show off their CV. It's the same approach used to forecast things like pandemics or to make medical guidelines. We used this method to ask AI experts to rate 24 specific risks, from misuse to malfunction. Which ones are most severe? Where should we focus first? And who's responsible for fixing them? We asked experts these questions in a few ways. First, we asked the experts to assess the risk that they personally focused on in their work. We asked them how likely it was that the risk would lead to negligible harm, minor, substantial, severe, or even catastrophic harm. We asked them about the business as usual, the current status quo, and we put in a scenario where society added some extra pragmatic, cost-effective mitigations. Then we asked all the experts to rate all the risks, even those outside their expertise. For that question, we asked them to choose their top 3. Now, of course, the rankings changed a little bit depending on exactly how we asked the questions. So for the details, you better have a look at the proper paper. But in broad brushstrokes, here's what worried the experts. In the first category, experts worry about a race to build something that's inherently dangerous. AIs have shown that they can lie and cheat and hack and cause other forms of havoc as well. Stopping this behavior might be possible with the right safety work, but it's hard to prioritize that safety work when the companies are racing to build more and more powerful AI. Countries and companies say they're in a race, but they might be racing through a minefield. They worry that going too slow might let the other guys win, but go too fast without enough safety and you could step on a mine. In the second category, experts were worried about people misusing AI to cause mass harm. These are bioweapons or cyber attacks on critical infrastructure, fraud or disinformation at an industrial scale. The latest AI systems like Mythos have found dozens of critical security vulnerabilities. If criminals had used AI to find them first, they could do a lot of damage. And the third category that experts were worried about is concentration of power. AI gives whoever controls it an enormous lever: economic power, military power, political power. A small number of people or companies or countries ending up with that much leverage is a risky place for us all to be in. If governments or companies don't need people, they just need AIs, then the general public might lose their say in how their lives are run. So if these were the priorities, whose job is it to fix them? We asked the experts and their answers were pretty clear. They put responsibility on the AI developers and the people who enforce rules on those AI developers. Users like you and I aren't responsible for AI-enabled cyber attacks. Experts felt AI companies should try to ensure that AIs can't be misused like that, and that governments should hold those AI companies accountable. Without governments enforcing rules, those who think they're racing will want to go faster and faster. Experts also felt it was the government's responsibility to manage power concentration, to distribute power in a world with AI. The United States Constitution showed us how important it is to have checks and balances on power, but the US founding fathers weren't thinking about a world with frontier AI. We likely need time to find the best ways of spreading the benefit of AI without spreading the risks that it also creates. This matters because experts said it was us, the public, who are most vulnerable to these risks. Sure, AI affects those building it too, but those people get so much of the benefit and the public bears much of the risks. Now, this mismatch isn't unique to artificial intelligence. It's the same story in every industry that's ever mattered to public safety. Drug companies design the drugs and patients take them. Boeing builds the planes and United maintains them, and passengers fly in them. Engineers build the bridge and you drive over it. In the same way, a handful of people are building AI that affects millions of others. In those other industries, we regulate the industry to ensure that they keep the public safe. We set standards, demand evidence, and don't take drug companies just on trust, for example. The process isn't glamorous, but it seems to work. Aviation now has roughly 1 fatal accident per 8 million flights. That didn't happen by chance. It happened because the public demanded safe flights until the risk was tolerable. So, how urgent is all of this? Well, that part's a bit sobering. At the current pace, experts felt there was at least a 10% chance that AI will cause catastrophic outcomes in the next 5 years. Catastrophic as in over 1 million deaths, hundreds of billions in damage, or power concentrated so heavily that democracy stops functioning. Sadly, this isn't coming from one risk society might be able to isolate, but from 18 of the 24 risks that we assessed. Now, that's a panel average estimate from domain experts, not a calibrated forecast like a weather model. And reasonable people will disagree about the precise number. But a 10% fatality rate would have any drug recalled. A 10% crash rate would ground every plane tomorrow. We might not have to ground AI, but what can we do? If we want to avoid these risks, we might have to treat AI like any other product that could hurt people. Society solved these problems before with planes and drugs and food and cars. We can solve them again if we can build on what we've already learned. The AI Risk Repository, along with the Delphi findings on priority risks, is available at airisks.mit.eu.